Thank you. Thank you so much, Braden and Michelle. What an amazing show. I feel like he was like a surgeon or something. He was like, and then we cut here, and then we do this, and then we take his heart out, and then we examine the lungs, and then we do like CPR. It was so serious. I don't know if you guys remember that last year we had a keynote speaker that was a futurist. It's okay if you don't remember because he was just really another ordinary white, straight, middle-aged man, so it's okay if you forget. But he captured our hearts. Is my microphone not on? Okay, is it on? Is it on? I'm kidding, I'm not gonna do that. Anyway, so he captured our hearts and mind with his predictions of the future. Unfortunately, nothing he predicted became true. So this year, REDKEN invited another futurist, and he's much younger and much more good-looking, so he's a much more reliable source. Jokes, yes, girls. Let's not do that. I'm trying to, equality thing, I don't know. I'm you, always. This man is a futurist, art historian, and entrepreneur. With a background in art history from Copenhagen University, he ventured into cultural entrepreneurship. It's a really made-up word, at a young age. His approach is learning by doing, and he's been doing it well. Poetry slams, publishing, being a badass band manager, organizing concerts and exhibitions, and then one day he started appreciating the man-made cosmos that the internet is. Well, obviously, he also had a TED Talk, not TikTok. TED Talk is really serious. And we are proud to introduce him on stage. Hopefully he can shed light so that we can easier comprehend a much confusing time. Please give him a big round of applause. Denis Rivin.
Thank you. That was a pretty cool introduction. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate to be here sincerely. I've been looking forward to this talk, specifically this talk. It's a great opportunity. And I ended up designing completely new material just for you guys today because I thought a lot about your jobs, and I kind of found out you have a really interesting role in society, so I deep dived into that. So my name is Denis Rivin. I am a futurist, and I call today's talk Radical Advancements to Keep an Eye On, because that's what I do professionally. I research, I read many articles every week, and I keep an eye on radical advancements in technology, science, and global development that change the world for the better. That's what I find interesting. So we live in a very special time right now, I think. It's wild. It's intense, it's confusing, complex, stressful to many people, because many things are happening at once. And we have access to so much information, so much data, and no one really learned us how to navigate in that. And so many people try to lie, and what's true, what's false, all these things. So all this information kind of piles up and also takes a toll on our mental health, because it's stressful. But we live in a time where science fiction is transforming into science fact on a weekly basis, and where people become able to create solutions to the many problems that are staring in our face in ways that have, historically speaking, been completely out of reach, literally. And all this change has a strong impact on two things in the human mind. First, what people consider, what people believe is possible. What is possible? Like tech and science constantly pushes the boundaries of what is actually possible in the world. And when this becomes possible, it opens doors for new things, and then that becomes possible and this. And if this is possible, then why not this too? And all these changes, they have an influence on what people consider to be good business. So, what's possible and what's profitable? Very interesting dynamic in that. Today, I want to challenge your assumption of what you think is possible in 2022 and beyond. I have water. I shall drink it. So, I had discussions with the organizers of this event. What would you guys like to hear about? Because like I'm a generalist, I know a bit about a lot. I can talk about many different things. What would you like to hear about? We talked back and forth, and then someone mentioned robots. Can you talk about robots? I was like, yeah, sure, I can talk about robots. What would you like to hear about? Yeah, no. Hey, bless you. How about, will robots anytime in the future be able to do the job of a hairdresser? As good as you, or maybe better, faster, cheaper? That's a really interesting question. Challenge accepted. Because why would you think that robots will be able to do your job? Just because we live in a time already now where we have these experimental humanoid robots with facial expressions so hyper-realistic that it's equally creepy and a bit fascinating at the same time? Or just because we have surgical robots that are able to sew the very delicate skin of a grape back onto the very delicate body of the fruit? And these robotic arms are being controlled by a human surgeon 1,000 kilometers away through virtual reality goggles? Or just because we have these hyper-futuristic factories all around the globe where entire assembly lines are controlled by huge robot arms producing these high-tech commodities for us to use, almost without human intervention? Or just because we live in this freaky time where we have so many tools at our disposal and people are bored that they start building legs for snakes? Did you see this? I found this last week and it's amusing, but every time I see it, I'm like, fuck, it's so confusing to be alive. So many things are happening. So, will robots be able to do your job one day? It's a great question. I am very curious on your opinion and your thoughts about this also. I made my conclusion, and I will share that conclusion with you at the end of this talk. So, I kind of don't really need to introduce myself because the introduction was spot on. My name is Denis Rivin. Originally, I come from Ukraine. My parents fled with my baby sister and me in 1991 to Denmark. And there I got enrolled in culture and arts. I got a degree in art history. I did cultural entrepreneurship, all these things. Did many different things, art magazine, music stuff, poetry slam, performative activism, all kinds of stuff. And then in 2013, I met up with a good friend at a bar, and we had some beers, and he told me about this master thesis he was writing from the IT University of Copenhagen about the future of the music industry. He told me these things, futuristic business models and something called attention economy, and he kind of unfolded the potential of the internet to me. And I was like, more beers, please. And then before I left the bar, I had changed path in my life. I left arts and culture behind me, and I enrolled at the IT University myself, and started to deep dive into all these technologies. And I realized we live in a very special time where we have all these technologies that are maturing at the same time, more or less, growing. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, nanotechnology, drones, robotics, 3D printing, virtual reality, augmented reality, autonomous driving, all kinds of biotech, gene sequencing, all these things. And suddenly, I felt hope, because I understood that all this progress opens so many doors for people to create solutions to the many problems that we face. And this hope kind of grew inside of me, and that's what I try to do. I try to share this hope with as many people as possible. So at the same time, roughly, by accident, I found this quote by Martin Luther King from 1968. He said, "Those who love peace must learn to organize as effectively as those who love war." It made a huge impression on me, like really inspired me at my core so much that I'm still carrying with me today. Because it kind of all made sense to me suddenly. I was like, shit, we live in this technological realization of this exact vision. Because we are the first people in the history of humanity that are so organized, and we have so much, we're so connected across the globe. We have access to these incredibly effective and cheap means of communication that we can organize at scales never seen before. And we can create exactly the kind of positive change in the world that we wish to see. If enough people decide that something has to change, it will change. It sounds hard to believe because I know it's a struggle out there, you know. I focus on the improvements. There was this, Swedish statistician, scientist Hans Rosling. He said once, it's really important for people to acknowledge that something can be bad and improving at the same time. I'm dealing with the improving part. Many people are dealing with the bad, that's fine. I'm not ignoring that. But we really need to actively seek out what actually works in the world and talk about it in order to gather energy and strength collectively to believe that our efforts matter. We're going into a confusing future, guys. We have to kind of, believe that it can lead to something good. But there are obstacles, of course, in all heroes' journeys. One of the obstacles is our human brain. I designed this slide myself. It's an image of the human mind. There are many studies about this. Simply put, it takes very little bad to destroy a lot of good, or vice versa. It takes a lot of good to balance out just a bit of bad. There are many studies about this. So one study I like, it's done by brain scientists together with marketing and branding people in terms of how people interact with products in general. So you have a person in a shop, there's this product, well, okay. One person comes over to this person and be like, that product sucks, it's ugly. It completely changes your perception of this product. It's like, oh shit, yeah, okay, maybe, I don't know. Then it takes 6 other people to have a positive input just to get your back to 0 in terms of this specific product. Okay? That's the way our brain works. There's a reason for that. Our biological brain hasn't really changed very much for the past 10,000 years, literally. Okay? So today, you guys, you wake up, you have a to-do list, busy life, all kinds of stuff, every day. 10,000 years ago, people woke up and had a to-do list of one thing, every morning, all life. Don't die. Okay, you wake up, don't die, okay, go out, okay? Because everything was kind of dangerous, no hospitals, no doctors, all these things, stuff could scratch you and bite you and kill you. So, we programmed ourselves biologically to be very prone to negative input and fear. The more fearful you are, the higher chance of survival that day. And this didn't really change. Our environment has changed dramatically. Everything is kind of designed not to kill us, but still we're very cautious navigating the world, okay? So that's how we work. And then all this says a lot about the media landscape that penetrate almost all aspects of our everyday life, and especially the news. Oh shit, the news, man. The news are not designed to communicate progress. The news are not designed to make you better versions of yourself, to help you navigate complex reality. The news are designed, this is roughly speaking, generalizing, the news are designed around a single, simple business model, which is profit maximizing, and it's about grabbing your attention and making you not change channel ever. That's how news work. Progress takes time. Only destructions happen so fast when you have 24-hour channels all the time, like all this shit, and then you have politicians, oh shit. That happens all the time, so you can do that. No one wants to film a construction of a skyscraper that takes a year. Like, how's it going? I was like, still, not so, it's going fine. But if the skyscraper is collapsed in seconds, that's spectacular. We're gonna have that, definitely. So destruction goes quickly. And the news basically it's not even newsworthy per definition, because mostly it's about people lying, people dying, and things breaking down. These things have happened countless of times throughout history. So every time you turn on the news, basically it's screaming in your face that the world is exactly as shitty as you remember it from yesterday. But this is honestly not the case. So this is what I work with. I want to change our conversations, change our mentality in belief in future. So I started my own news outlet. I call it Actual News. Just the fact that I need to put actual in front of news says a lot about news. So Actual News is about things that never happened before. Because we live in this time where science fiction is transforming into science fact. So many new things happen all the time. And that's interesting to talk about, I think. So I have some examples of what I think is interesting to talk about. And the difference between news and actual news. Okay. So, how many noticed this? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, probably, definitely, all of you, I think, you know. So, this happened, okay? Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. Spectacular loss of self-control. News coverage for a week. Everywhere. Everywhere. Fair enough. Okay. You can talk about it. Fair enough. So, he slapped Chris Rock because Chris Rock made a joke about Will Smith's wife. She suffers from a disease called alopecia that makes people lose their hair. Okay? So that's why he slapped him. So everyone talked about this. Literally 2 days before the Oscars, scientists from Yale University released results from a new clinical trial that for the first time ever in human history, they discovered a treatment against alopecia. So they had a clinical trial, they had a group of people, and 1/3 for now, they regrew their hair after 36 weeks. So now it's in development, we're doing this, okay? How many heard about this? Someone, nice. Yeah, almost no one, but someone. This is new customers for you guys, okay? So I think that's interesting. And looking on health in general, so many things are happening, okay? So a difficult subject, it's cancer. Can you see this? Cancer affects so many people around the world in so many different ways. It's a difficult subject to deal with. But I think like development in cancer treatment, that should be like a mandatory thing most people start their day with. Like, what's up with the cancer treatment today? Let's see. So this is from June this year, an experimental study with immunotherapy medicine for a small study group of 12 people with rectal cancer, cured 100% of the people. Cured 100% of the people. This has never happened before. This is a radical breakthrough in medicine and technology. Other news from cancer. In the US, they're developing 4D printed micro-robotic fish that are so small they will be injected into the blood veins of patients in the quite near future. And these robotic weird fish can open their mouth, and inside their mouth they have chemotherapy drug, which is programmed to seek directly into the tumor of the patient and deliver the chemotherapy into the tumor. Because right now, and for many, many years, there's been a huge problem with chemotherapy making people very sick because it kills a lot of healthy cells all over the body. That's not the point. So this is precision medicine going directly for the root cause of the disease. In England, they're experimenting with bowel cancer patients in the stomach and like the you know, what's it called? This is colon, yeah. So historically speaking, when people have symptoms of bowel cancer, you go to the doctor, you have a pretty long camera put up your behind, all the way up, in order to diagnose. Is there something? Is there nothing? Supposedly, it's a very unpleasant experience. So now in England, they're experimenting with, you don't even have to go to the doctor. If you have symptoms of this, they send you physically a capsule by mail. You get the capsule, you swallow the capsule. Inside the capsule, there's a camera. It takes 56,000 pictures on its journey through your entire system. It sends the pictures to the doctors. They're being analyzed. And then they tell you, hey, There was nothing actually, okay? Or they tell you, yeah, okay, let's make a real analysis now, so please, now you can come in. This is a game changer for like the health system, because people, like the health system is very preoccupied with people that actually not necessarily need help. You have to get a diagnosis, of course, yeah? So, but now doctors will be able to give care to the people that actually need it in all kinds of different ways. Last cancer news for today. I don't know if you follow this, but actually there are like clinical trials, phase 2 now, for actual cancer vaccines. So this is a pretty positive byproduct of the pandemic in general. All these vaccines, many discussions, controversial stuff, but the mRNA vaccine is a new technology, and the pandemic has like broken up so many doors for cancer research, for actual vaccines in the very near future. People are already trying this. Okay, enough cancer. So, we go back to England. Did you see that in England, paramedics are experimenting with jetpacks in mountainous areas? Okay, they go to the patients, someone is suffering up on a hill or a mountain. Just grab the jetpack. So this is reducing the traveling time from 25 minutes to 90 seconds. Quite effective. Another health thing. If anyone of you is interested in mental health, stress, angst, depression, PTSD, all these things, so much going on in the world for many different reasons. I think it's very interesting and very important to follow these things because it affects so many people. And we have so little tools at our disposal. You can go to a psychologist for like 5 years sometimes, not so much effect. You can take all kinds of pharmacological stuff. It makes you addicted and all these things, okay? So, anyone heard about psychedelic therapy? Anyone heard about psychedelics? Anyone did psychedelics, guys? Psilocybin from magic mushrooms, MDMA, LSD, DMT, ketamine, woo! All kinds of consciousness-expanding drugs that are heavily stigmatized. They have a pretty bad rep after 50 years of war on drugs. What they also have is like close to bordering miraculous medicinal use. There are also, after the pandemic, there's been an explosion in scientific studies, clinical trials, with people taking ordinary doses of these psychedelics together, like in a safe environment, together with a psychotherapist, because it's consciousness expanding. And you get to have like conversations with your psychotherapist that goes to the root cause of what's making you suffer. They have like dramatic results from these things. I don't want to over-dramatize it, but of all radical things that I'm following, I think this is like the most fascinating, delicious, radical stuff out there, because people need help. We need help. And also, like you have this positive byproduct, like once you're being treated for PTSD or depression or something, but then you also get the whole thing that people talk about, the oneness, the nature stuff, the connectivity, all these things. You get both, kind of. So you feel better, and also you kind of maybe a bit more grounded, connected to the world around you. Anyway, enough commercial for psychedelics. I have no stakes. I just think this is really interesting. So artificial intelligence, we can talk many things about it. One of the things I think is really interesting, this is an Israeli startup. So you can give them like a photo of your ancestors, and they animate the photo using like neural networks, machine learning, all these things. And as you can see, it's like, I think this is an interesting example of like, in a weird way, machines bonding or like bridging like current time and the past, with people kind of connecting to their own ancestors and like our historic, how we got here in the first place. There's a lot of stuff being used in that, also like archaeology and stuff. Last example, so there's this cafe in Tokyo where you're being serviced by robots. The robot comes, asks, what would you like? I'm like, yeah, coffee. It goes somewhere, it brings you the coffee. We've kind of seen that before. This cafe, these robots, they are being controlled by paralyzed people lying in their own bed, controlling these robots through voice, or in some cases, like a type of brain implant, like literally through thoughts. That's something to think about, I think. You know, yeah. Oh, okay, I brought this slide. Okay. Just, you know, a lot of stuff to take in, so many things to talk about, many things happen in the world. So, yeah, let's just get back to this question. Will hairdressers lose their jobs to robots? No. How many no? How many yay? No. Oh, sorry, okay, wait. No. Yay. Yeah. Okay. I have good news and I have bad news. So, robots that can cut hair already totally exist. This is from 2020. This is from 2020, guys. This is 2 years old already. When talking the speed of change right now, yeah, so he's like analyzing afterwards. Yeah, not so much with the ears, not so good in the back. Okay, but it didn't cut his face off. That's a pretty big success, you know. So, my personal guess is that before the end of this decade, there will most definitely be robots. Robot salons, maybe. You just go in there, you sit down, you pick a style at a menu, and you get a haircut in whatever, 3 minutes, perfect, you go out. So, yeah, there will be robots that can cut hair. The good news is, for better or worse, we are biological beings in a technological world. So, all these technologies, the speed of technology is dramatically different than the speed of our biology. So, although there will be robots that can cut hair, people still have the same values, more or less. People still value love, friendship, truth, presence, respect. People value other people being there, listening to them, seeing them, having a conversation, feeling heard. We heard it before, actually. So that's the good news. You can outcompete the robots by being more human than the robots. And a bonus good news is that if you at any point in the future lose your arm, you can get a new one. That is probably better than the one you already have. It froze? That's a shame. Oh no. Yeah, okay, she takes it off and stuff. These are called bionic prostheses. They are really incredibly, amazingly cool. Yeah. So I thought a lot about this, the role of the hairdresser in society. And I found out that you provide 2 different kinds of services, actually, 2 different values. First, you give people the energy from a new look, yeah? Physical appearance. People go out in the world, self-confident, and be like, yeah, okay, one more day. Second, you actually are a kind of a therapist. Because people go to your salon and they have conversations. They digest stuff going on in their life, personal work, all these things, and they digest it. You are a very cheap therapist, okay? And it's really interesting. So you have all these conversations, but what is it that you actually talk with your customers about? I made a field study, guys. I went out in the streets of Copenhagen and I talked to hairdressers about what they talk with their customers about to find out. Because I have an assumption. My assumption is that you talk about 3 things mostly. Personal stuff, hair, life, kids, work, gossip, and news. Because that's what's happening in the world. What's up with the news? How's it going with the COVID thingy? Okay. Trump said anything stupid today? Okay. So, and then that was my assumption. So I went out and talked to hairdressers, and it was really interesting. So I really learned that it's a cultural thing. Every salon has a culture. And it's really different what you actually talk about. but I got confirmed that yes, a lot about personal stuff, a lot gossip, almost never news. Is this true? Do you talk news with your customers? Yes? Some do. Okay, cool. So I asked, why don't you talk about the news? And most people said, because the news suck. They are so negative. And you want to keep a jolly tone in the salon. You don't want to argue with your customer about some bullshit politician that said something stupid. So you kind of avoid these things. And I think that's interesting. So, to conclude this talk, I suggest an experiment, because I believe that you can level up your game in many different ways. You can give the people an experience of the physical appearance, the energy from that, but also through interesting, good conversation, you can give people access to alleviate anxiety and believe in the world, that the world doesn't suck just like it did yesterday, because it doesn't. So many things are happening, I promise you. It just takes that we kind of see them, because no one is throwing them in our faces. We have to seek them out. So, I suggest this experiment. You take your camera, you point to this QR code, you go in, you type in your phone number, don't forget your country code and your email address. And then in October, the whole month of October, we make an experiment, me and you. I never tried this before. Every Tuesday and every Friday, 9 in the morning, I will send you a text message that I pay for with an inspirational, interesting, positive topic from the news, actual progress happening in the world. And then you can see if you can use it. Can you use it during your day? Can you use it to have interesting conversations with your customers? It's really difficult to disagree whether it's good or bad that we have new treatments for cancer, for example, you know? It actually makes people happy. So, that's my suggestion. There will definitely be robots that can do your job. Probably even better, quicker, cheaper. But you can outcompete them by being more human than them. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much, Denise. You're such an amazing thinker. And I have a question about the first thing you said, about the robots. But what if you go to the hairdresser and it's a robot and it has really bad taste? What do you do then? And how can they take the place of these amazing hairstylists? Do you have an answer? It's like you're a guru. I'm going to leave the stage.
Well, we had suggestions before about hairdressers making more, suggestions to new looks. So I don't know. Some people will be like, press the random button and like surprise me.
Okay. That's what I did.
But it will also be like, it's just a menu, like at the restaurant. You go, you pick something, and it doesn't make mistakes, really. Because that's what they do, especially when they get good enough. They're not here yet, guys. And I'm not saying this to kind of demotivate you or scare anyone or anything like that, but I really also don't think we should kind of ignore reality, And I really also think, I believe in humans and humanity, so I'm not very afraid of robots.
No,
I'm afraid of politicians.
You're afraid of what?
Politicians. You too, I heard. You had this thing in the middle.
We're all afraid of them, especially now. But thank you so much. I think you're an amazing thinker, and we're honored to have you here tonight. Thank you so much, Denis Rivin.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
He was amazing.